Alright, what's going on, guys? So today I'm going to give you some of the most basic but useful information to get stronger and to get bigger. So I'm going to go over the stuff on the board, and then I'm going to use a quick example to wrap it all together. So what I have written down here is adherence, VIF, or volume, intensity, and frequency. And then we have progression and progressive overload. And then the reference that I used for where I got all this information from, which is the Muscle and Strength Pyramid by Dr. Helms. Each of these things build on one another and sort of like a pyramid. So let's start with the first thing at the bottom of the pyramid, which would be adherence. So adherence really comes down to three main things, which would be that you're enjoying your training, you can do consistently, and you've picked realistic goals. So if you pick a training program that requires you to go to the gym 6 days a week, but you know your job, athletics, whatever you're doing doesn't let you go 6 days a week, then pick a different training program. Even if that means you have to go 4 days a week or even 3 days a week, trust me when I say it's better to do that than to pick a program where you're going to miss half of the week because you're just missing out on progression. And the reason that's the case is because when someone makes a training program, each day is designed to accomplish a specific goal. So if you're missing half of a 6-day training split week, you're missing half of the progress that could have been made that week. But if you just pick a plan that tailors your schedule, even if it is 3 days a week, you're going to progress more than if you just missed half of the week. So the next part is consistency. This kind of goes hand in hand with the last point. But once you find a program that suits your schedule, you have to commit to it. You could have the best coaching, nutrition, training plan, stress management, whatever. But if you aren't committing to giving the most amount of effort that you're supposed to give based on the workout consistently, you're going to be in the same exact spot that you started in. The final part of adherence would be picking a realistic goal. Obviously, when you're picking goals, you're not going to pick something you know you're going to achieve like tomorrow, but you're also not going to pick a goal that is going to be accomplished 5 years from now, but you expect it happening at the end of an 8-week training program. Before you start a training program, you should really ask yourself, am I going to be able to do this consistently? Am I going to commit to it? And am I going to enjoy this? Volume is essentially just the amount of sets you're doing in a week for either a muscle group or a movement. When I say movement, I really mean exercise, so like a squat, bench, or a deadlift. Intensity is basically just rating the amount of effort you're giving in a set, a workout, or even the entire training program, and it's usually measured with a percentage or how you're feeling on the given training day. Finally, frequency is just how many times a muscle group or a movement is being worked or practiced in a given week. Progression is just when you develop a new adaptation for muscle growth or for strength over time. It's a pretty general definition. And then progressive overload is a bit more specific, and it's when the weight being lifted, the reps being done, the frequency, whatever you're measuring, is increasing over time. Now, if your goal is to put on muscle mass, you're probably going to be focused more on how your physique is progressing over time and less about the amount of weight you're lifting progressing over time. So you're probably focused more on just general progression opposed to progressive overload. And if your goal is strength, you're probably focused more on the weight on the bar increasing over time rather than your physique progressing over time. So you'd be focused more on progressive overload. Now the loophole here is although both these goals are different, each of them is going to require some muscle development and some strength development. So what I'm saying here is you're going to need to do a little bit of both to accomplish both goals. So when a muscle grows, it's a result of there being tension or resistance applied to the muscle, breaking it down, and then rebuilding it. So if we can increase the amount of resistance or tension applied to the muscle over a period of time, then the muscle's going to grow. Even if a quarter of your weekly sets are being dedicated towards strength, that's going to be just enough to get a little bit stronger, which means you're also probably going to get bigger because the other 3/4 of your volume is dedicated towards getting bigger muscles. So in other words, if we can increase the weight being lifted over time, if we can progressively overload, then it's going to result in the muscles getting bigger since more tension is being applied over time, therefore progressing your physique. On the other hand, even if your main goal is strength, you're still going to need an adequate amount of muscle mass if you want to maximize your progression. Obviously, you don't need to train like a bodybuilder, but even just having a quarter to half of your weekly sets being dedicated towards hypertrophy or muscle building rep scheme exercises, anything from 6 to 15 reps, then you're going to get stronger. Ultimately, a bigger muscle is a stronger muscle. Alright, so for example, we're going to have lifter 1, and their goal is strength on bench press, and they're going to do an 8-week program. And for the VIF, the volume, intensity, and frequency, volume in week 1, they're going to start at 12 sets total. So at the end of the week, they're doing 12 sets of bench press. By week 5, they'll be up to 18 sets, and then by week 8, they'll be down to 10 sets. And then the intensity is going to range from 72.5% to 95% of their 1 rep max. Frequency, they're bench pressing 2 times a week. So this is a calendar of what the entire 8-week program would look like. But since I'm only focusing on 1 lift and 2 days out of the week, I'm not going to write in this entire square. I'm just going to zoom in on these 2 days right here. So let's do that right now. Alright, so there we go. We have Monday and we have Wednesday with the sets on the left, reps in the middle, percentage or the intensity right next to that, and we have the weeks going down here. So if you haven't noticed, when you add up Monday and Wednesday's sets, it's 9 total sets. It says 12 here. So the reason why I did that is because a quarter of this person's volume is going to be for hypertrophy movements, so like movements that are meant to build muscle, and I didn't write that down here. So the other 3 lingering sets that would add up to 12 are going to be doing like 3 sets of chest flies with 12 to 15 reps. So if we break this down, what we have is 4 sets of 7 at 72.5%, and then it goes.
Alright, I just want to quickly add, if this is your first time using a program, I would use the percentages that you're given, because you don't want to be training your sets to failure to get strength. It's actually the opposite, because when you train to failure, the recovery that you need is going to leak into the next training session. You're going to lift less weight in the next training session, and then you're actually getting weaker and not getting stronger. So use the percentages and try and stay away from failure.
Goes to 5 sets of 7, 75%, 6 sets of 7, 7 sets of 7, and then Wednesday we have 5 sets of 3, 80%, 6 sets of 3, 82.5%, 7 sets of 3, 8 sets of 3. So what we see here, if you didn't pick up on it, the amount of sets is increasing by 1 on each day. So the total amount of weekly sets is going to add up to 18 when you include those 3 lingering sets of hypertrophy volume. And the reps are going to stay the same, but the intensity is also increasing. So by increasing the volume and the intensity over a course of 4 weeks, what we're doing is building up what's called a work capacity. A work capacity is just how much you can do. You're increasing the amount your body can withstand, and what that's going to do is build strength. So what we do here in week 5 is we drop the amount of volume we're doing down, and we decrease the reps, and then we keep the intensity going up though. Because our body is so used to recovering from 7 sets of 7, when we do the 5 sets of 5 with more weight, it's going to be stronger. that's why building up the work capacity before that is really important. And then if we keep going on, we have 4 sets of 4, 82.5%, 5 sets of 2, 90%. Week 7, 4 sets of 3 with 87.5%, 4 sets of 1 with 95%. And then week 8 is the week that you would ideally test your 1 rep max, so the weight you can do for only 1 rep on the lift. So you would test that on Monday here, and then Wednesday it says 3 sets of 5 at 70%. That's what we would consider a recovery day. So yeah, and then you could just repeat this until you notice you hit a plateau. Then you would need a little bit more of an advanced program. If you wanted to replace the goal with building muscle, all you would do here is, instead of you benching, you would be doing like incline dumbbell press, because if you have more range of motion with the dumbbells than the barbell, it's going to be better for building muscle. So you could literally just replace the exercise with incline dumbbell press, and you wouldn't have to use percentages. You could honestly just increase the sets and then the reps and do all of this the same if you wanted to get stronger on that, and you would still be building adequate amounts of muscle. Alright, so just to quickly summarize everything we just went over. So you want to pick a program that you can enjoy, you can commit to, and you want to have realistic goals. And then you want to make sure you're manipulating the volume, the intensity, and picking a frequency you know you can do. And by doing that, it's going to lead to progress or progressive overload based on whatever your goals are. Alright, that's going to do it for this video, guys. I really hope you enjoyed all the information behind me. Thought I'd do something a little bit different from the training vlogs and give you guys some really basic but really useful information to get stronger or to put on muscle mass. Let me know in the comments what else you guys want me to talk about, if you do want me to talk about something else. And like, comment, share, and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video.